treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattaway-Donkwonk and the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara Police Services Board stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of lands on which we live. And in passing, I'd just like to make comment to the term, the Indigenous term, Turtle Island. That is in reference to the country of Canada. I would like to do a roll call, and those present, please respond with here. Member Henry DeAngelo.
Here.
Member Kevin Gibson.
Present.
Member Jen Lawson.
Present.
And Tara McKendrick, I understand, as a schedule conflict and will be joining us shortly. And I have two regrets, Chair Bill Steele and Member Bob Gale. Does any member have a declaration of conflict of interest on any of the items for today? Hearing or seeing none, we'll move on to the adoption of minutes. Item 3.1, minutes of the public board meeting held Thursday, October the 28th, 2021. I have a motion moved by Henry DeAngelo, seconded by Kevin Gibson, that the minutes of the board meeting held October the 28th, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Would there be any questions to those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, please show your hand. And that carries, thank you. Item 3.2, the minutes of the special public meeting held Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. Again, a motion moved by Councillor or Member DeAngelo and Member Gibson that the minutes of the special meeting held Wednesday, November 21st, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Again, any questions or issues with those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you, that carries. Reports from the chair. I have a number of items of interest this morning, and bear with me. First of all, I'd like to, on behalf of the board, welcome Ron Leclerc to the meeting. Ron is with the Inspectorate of Policing at the Ministry of the Solicitor General, and he served as a policing services advisor to police boards in Ontario. He is at our meeting today as part of routine visits by policing services advisors to police boards across the province. We are pleased to see his continued attendance at our meetings. And next, the CAPG webinar session. The Canadian Association of Police Governments hosts monthly webinars as part of its educational strategy to keep police boards and police executives across Canada apprised of issues currently impacting the policing community. On November the 15th, the board attended a webinar entitled Strategic Planning for Police Governing Authorities. Strategic plans drive what policing activities will happen and what results are achieved. It is one of the top ways that the police governing authorities can influence policing in their communities. The Niagara Regional Police Services 2022 to 2025 strategic plan will be presented for board approval today, and it is listed under item 8.1 on the agenda. The next CAPG webinar will be held on December the 7th at 12 p.m. And discussions will focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion. Webinar details will be provided to the board when available. Next, the OAPSB Labor Conference, the Ontario Association of Police Services Board. On November the 18th, board members attended the Ontario Association of Police Services Board's virtual 2021 Labor Conference. The program provided learning opportunities about the labor relations landscape across Ontario, police executive contracts, discussion on employer challenges with WSIB, updates regarding the Community Safety and Policing Act, and insights into diversity, equity, and inclusion, and police hiring practices. Next, the One District Facility Project, the St. Catharines Detachment. The Niagara Region and Police Services Joint Steering Committee meeting was scheduled for November the 23rd, was canceled, and the next meeting will be held in December. At that time, the committee will be provided with a status update of the remaining project budget and will discuss future dates and format for the facility grand opening ceremony and finalization of the time capsule. To follow up on a question raised at our last meeting regarding police signage at the new One District building, I wish to advise that the building signage was reviewed and approved with the City of St. Catharines site plan approval process. It was to be non-illuminated due to the proximity to the Welland Avenue overhead street lights that provide lighting around the front of the building. The region advised that the only complaint from the public was communication of public parking off the rear of the new facility, accessed off North Street. To address this concern, the region has installed a larger sign with the information at the front of the building facility facing Welland Avenue to assist with the communication to the public. The CAPG Governance Summit and Community Safety and Wellbeing. Board members participated virtually in the CAPG Community Safety and Wellbeing Governance Summit held on November the 24th. The summit discussed the implementation of community safety and well-being plans and focused on the social innovation within Canada. Sessions governed how funding impacts our community safety and well-being plans and examine new practices for coordinated service delivery. And lastly, upcoming Police Service Board meetings. Due to the holiday season, there are no committee meetings scheduled in December, and the board will hold its next monthly meeting 1 week earlier on Thursday, December the 16th at 9 a.m. The meeting will be held by electronic participation through Zoom. That concludes my remarks, and I would now like to call upon the acting chief, Bill Forty, to provide his monthly reports and comments.
Thank you, Perry. And I should note that Chief McCulloch is not with us today, so I'll provide some brief comments on his behalf. I'm, of course, joined by Deputy Chief Brett Flynn. So I'd like to report that we had no new homicides in the reporting period and that we had no fatal motor vehicle collisions during the reporting period, but we did have one life-threatening injury during a motor vehicle collision in October. The details of the injury are as follows. On Friday, October 8th at approximately 7:52, our officers responded to the report of a serious motor vehicle collision involving a vehicle and a trailer on Mountain Road in the town of Grimsby. Investigation determined that a 29-year-old female was traveling northbound on Mountain Road when her vehicle collided with a trailer attached to a pickup truck that was being backed out of a driveway. The male operating the pickup truck that was backing out of the driveway was not injured, but the female sustained life-threatening injuries and was subsequently transported to hospital. The collision remains under investigation by detectives from our collision reconstruction unit. There are three specific matters that have been reported in the news that I'll provide you a brief update on. The first revolves around an incident that occurred on November 1st, 2021. At 8 a.m., officers in Welland responded to the intersection of Niagara Street and Thorold Road regarding a hit and run motor vehicle collision involving a backhoe. Officers located the backhoe and a traffic stop was initiated. A 44-year-old male was charged with several offenses, including impaired operation, the backhoe, possession of a Schedule I substance. In this particular case, it was crystal methamphetamine, and driving a motor vehicle with no license. The second incident revolves around an incident that took place on November 10th at 8 p.m. Our officers responded to an armed robbery at a convenience store located in the area of Scott Street and Vine Street in St. Catharines. The complaint originated because two suspects had entered the store, one armed with a knife and one with what was believed to be a firearm. Prior to running from the store on foot, a demand was made to the cashier to surrender any money that might be contained within the register. As our officers were arriving at the scene, they observed the two suspects. The suspects split up, and our members engaged in a foot pursuit. I'd like to call it a high-speed foot pursuit because one of them was arrested immediately by one of our police officers, and the second person was arrested with the assistance of our police service dog that also attended the scene. A firearm was recovered, and it was determined, it was a replica firearm that was recovered. And obviously these persons have been advanced through the court system. And the third incident that I'd like to reference is really a community engagement initiative. The service is proud to partner with Niagara's Mobile Closet. It's a program overseen by the Niagara Furniture Bank, a not-for-profit charity seeking to make clothing more accessible for those in a clothing crisis, if I may call it such. This new initiative is starting in St. Catharines, where a closet has been installed and offers an inventory of clothing for those persons that are in need of same. Should a member of our service engage with an individual and determine that they're in a clothing crisis, if they need clothes, proper seasonal attire will be offered as supplied through this initiative. So that concludes my comments, Jerry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting Chair, Chief. I'd like to move, the next item is presentations, and this morning there are no presentations. Following that, the consent agenda. We have a number of items on the consent agenda from 7.1 through to 7.8. I would like to move those in a block, but I will ask if there's any questions or issues concerning these to board members. Seeing none, then I do have a motion moved by Member Lawson, seconded by Member D'Angela, that the information be received. Then to that motion, all in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. Item 8, new business. 8.1, 2022 to 2025 strategic plan for the Niagara Regional Police Service. The service board report dated November the 1st, 2021, requesting the board approve the 2022 to 2025 strategic plan for the Niagara Regional Police Service as prepared by the board in participation with the Chief of Police to address the core business functions of the police service and how it will provide adequate and effective police services, specifically in the areas of public safety, community engagement and collaboration, continuous improvement and organizational continuity, and member wellness and resiliency, which have been identified as the 4 goals of this strategic plan cycle. Questions or comments associated with this report? Yes. Member D'Angelo, excuse me.
Thanks, acting Vice Chair Eager, acting chair. Just want to comment. It's well done. I want to congratulate or thank those that were involved in putting it together. I know Member Gibson played a major role in that from the board perspective, and then also the service. I just want to follow up on one point though that's in the plan, because it does affect a lot of our communities. It's on page 21. Point 1.5 enhanced relationships with students at post-secondary education institutions. In there, it talks about creating an orientation package for international students attending their institutions by the end of 2022. The question I have for the acting chief is, if he has the answer, is I know in the past when I was on a member of council or the mayor that there was times where we had welcoming packages coming into the community, especially for new students that were moving into the Thorold area, especially in the residential areas. Is that program going to still, I know with COVID, it's probably been adjusted, but once we get back to some sort of normal reality, will that program be part of this, or will it just be targeted towards international students? Maybe if it could be a little bit of follow-up on that, or any comment through you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Call upon our acting chief, Forty.
Thank you, Chair Eakin, and through yourself. Thanks for the question, Member D'Angelo. As you reference, a significant portion of our community engagement that we have identified as important is at our academic institutions, both domestic and international. And we had extensive discussion with Member Gibson and our team about the creation of orientation packages. And part of the consultation, as you see at the back, we had stakeholders from all the significant educational institutes in Niagara as part of that. So yeah, you're 100% right. Our hope and our plan is to continue to try to engage them in a proactive manner so that they're have a sense of comfort on what options are available and what services are available for them, and to potentially alleviate any misgivings they may have coming into our region.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Member D'Angelo?
Yeah, it does answer my question, because it's very important that we work with the students both internationally and those coming from other jurisdictions in Ontario and Canada, because at times they are disruptive to the local community, but we want them to be felt welcomed, but at the same time understand the roles and responsibilities of both themselves and other organizations, so that we have a harmonious community as opposed to concerns, because by doing that, it'll save a lot of service calls, because there's be more and more service calls dealing with some of these issues that affect the local residents, especially here in Thorold. We're so close to Brock, and there's so many students that live in our community that they do have a major impact, sometimes negative, but hopefully we're trying to push it towards more of a positive impact for us. So anything you can do to enhance that, I feel very appreciative, because it makes a difference for the average person living their life out here in Thorold. Thank you.
Thank you, Member D'Angelo. I think you summarized that very well. Certainly, we want people coming to our country and to our region to feel welcome with the police services and the role and the needs of both partners. If there's no other questions regarding this report, then I have a motion moved by Member Gibson and Member D'Angelo that the board approve the
acting chair. Sorry to interrupt. My hand is up for comment.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
I apologize for interrupting you there. I just wanted to say, as the board member assigned to assist in the strat plan development, how impressed I was at how well this piece of work was done by the police service. For the public, we had 4 or 5 groups, 5 sticks in my head, of the public that came in. through Zoom. We had meetings with them. We listened to them. Their information formed a lot of what you see in front of you today as a strat plan. We also held a very innovative public meeting, and I think it was 4,500 people in that neighborhood. Deputy 40, that's about right. About 4,500 people called in or contacted us through that process, and were giving their opinions about various aspects related to the strat plan. So this is truly a strat plan developed not by the police, but by the actual public of Niagara, who had a lot of input into it. So I was very pleased, and it was really an excellent piece of work, which is going to guide the police service for the next number of years here into the future. So the public can be very proud of what was done here, and it is definitely going to be reflective of what the public wanted. So I was very impressed and thankful to be part of it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Gibson, for those kind remarks. Anyone else wish to speak to this report?
If I may, Chair Eek?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I would just maybe like to build upon Member Gibson's comments, and certainly want to acknowledge his significant commitment to the process. Wasn't lost on all the members that participated, that he attended numerous meetings and was very engaged. So that was acknowledged by our membership. So I want to acknowledge that. And if I could, I'd also like to acknowledge some of the members that participated, and in particular, Dr. Paul Divers. He played a really significant role in facilitating and in coordinating our efforts. As Member Gibson referenced, we met with 5 separate and distinct community groups, or through virtual roundtables, given the complications presented with COVID. In previous plans, we met in the community room face to face, and in this particular situation, we met virtually. We met with groups from diversity and faith groups. We met with a group of elected officials. We met with a group of members of our business improvement associations and chambers of commerce. We met with a group of first responders, and we met with a group of school and educational stakeholders, as referenced in our previous discussion with Henry D'Angelo. And then the other thing I think I'd like to mention is, during that process, we identified 5 people within our service to try to lead us through collating all the information and developing specific targets and measures. And those persons invested significant energies. Inspector Linda Hughes, Staff Sergeant Nilan DeVay, Staff Sergeant Chris Siri, Inspector Todd Wazlovich, and Inspector Mario Lagrateria. And then last but not least, Deputy Flynn and the Chief were also heavily engaged, so that we could ensure we were listening to all the feedback we received, both in the town hall that Member Gibson referenced, and the information we received from in all our stakeholder meetings. So it really, truly was a team effort, whereby we feel we did receive kind of really meaningful input, and then invested a lot of energy in trying to develop specific targets and measures. So I just wanted to top up Member Gibson's comments with those. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this report? Seeing none, I just would like to comment on the fact that the inclusiveness that we want to have in policing, and the teamwork that's been expressed here this morning, working both with the public and the service, is the most important in forming this document that will guide us through 2022 to 25. So thank you to everyone for their hard work and pulling this together. So to this report, then I do have a motion moved by Member Gibson, seconded by Member D'Angelo, that the board approve the Niagara Regional Police Service 2022 to 2025 strategic plan, and further, that the compliant with the adequacy standards regulation, the 2022 to 25 strategic plan be submitted to Regional Council for its information. To that motion, all in favor? Seeing, thank you. That's approved unanimously. Moving on to the next item of business, item 8.2, Public Service Board Bursary Awards, updated terms of reference for Brock University and Niagara College. The correspondence dated November the 8th, 2021, from Deb Reed, Executive Director, the Niagara Police Services Board, providing the board with a copy of the updated terms of reference for the Police Services Board Bursary Awards in support of Brock University and Niagara College. To that report, questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, then to the motion I have before me that Member Gibson, seconded by Member Lawson, that the board approve the updated terms of reference for the Niagara Police Services Board Bursary in support of Board University and Niagara College as appended to the report. And further, that the board chair and executive director be authorized to execute the required documentation. To that motion, all in favor? Thank you. That's carried unanimously as well. Thank you. Items of other business. Any members would like to bring forth an item of interest? Seeing none. In-camera reports. There are no in-camera reports from October the 28th, 2021 meeting. So members, if there's anything else for the good of police, seeing none on the agenda, then I move for adjournment. Thank you for your participation. We will suspend for a brief 10 minutes and rejoin our police board with the in-camera session at 9.